We're back, baby. It's the Charity Stripe. Pitch your free throws because they all free. Joshua Fisher, Alexander Toss Me the Rock Tosopoulos, DJ, Nikki, Snacks, Kreider, and our guest today, NFL's marathon man, the voice of NFL Sundays. You really are the Iron Man, my friend.
Well,
we watch you every weekend. RedZone's Scott Hanson joining the show. How you doing today,
Great
Scott?
to be with you guys.
Yeah,
cool setup you got here.
You took
I
Brett
like
Favre's nickname.
You really did.
Well, Favre had to play through a lot more than I've ever had. Although I have gone in injured and sick and inhibited at some times for Red Zone, but never missed a show, never missed an hour, never missed a touchdown.
Well, some people, I think, all want the same question answered. The Iron Bladder.
Yeah.
Do you make bathroom stops?
I do before and after the show.
Really?
What? Yeah, the truth is, this is the number one, pardon the pun, question in my life that I get is, and everyone thinks they're asking me it for the first time.
No, sure. We know.
They think like, or someone comes up to me, whatever, in a grocery store or something. Hey, my girlfriend and I watch Red Zone all the time, but we always wonder, when do you go to the bathroom? Some people come to me and say, how do you go to the bathroom during that show? And I said, well, it's not the how, it's the when. Yeah. And the when is, I actually take 2 bathroom breaks before the show begins. In fact, the last bathroom break is, the 5-minute countdown clock that we put up.
Sure.
Counting it down. And people love Red Zone so much, they tune in just to watch the countdown clock.
I've
right?
been there.
During that 5-minute countdown clock, I'm in the men's room doing my thing and then shutting it off because it's mind over matter, and I value my professional requirements more than I do my biological requirements.
So when we're out of the season, is your like body just like regulated in
You're
a way
like,
where
it's
you're
like
like
David Blaine mode. He's trained his
Yeah,
body.
there it is. Yeah, right. Yeah. The first weekend after Red Zone, so we just had it. Super Wild Card weekend is my first weekend after Red Zone, and my body does feel on Sundays. My body is like. The alarm doesn't go off at 5 a.m. because I don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. on that first Sunday, and yet my eyes still are like, okay, wait.
It's like a biological clock, literally.
It is. The rhythms of the season. I mean, I do, in season, I'm a creature of habit. On Monday, I'm doing the same thing every week. Week 1, week 12, week 18, I'm doing the same thing on Monday. I'm doing the same thing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just building up towards Red Zone. It's a lot like being a football player. You see the result for 7 hours in my case, or 3 hours in a football player's case, but there are tens of hours, dozens of hours of work that lead up to it because it's all an ad-libbed show for 7 hours, no teleprompter.
I mean, you have no idea what's going to happen. Even
though
people say the NFL's scripted.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I can tell you that it's not.
I hope not. We were talking about the Patriots Raiders before we started. I hope that wasn't scripted.
Exactly, right.
Well, how did Red Zone get started, man? We got to know.
Well, so there are now it has started to drift towards the mists of urban legend as to like how it all came about. Now, I can tell you about NFL Red Zone. I assume your audience might be savvy enough to know that there were, up until this season, 2 Red Zones.
Correct.
Okay, you're familiar. Are you guys familiar? Okay, hopefully the audience.
Couldn't tell you who the other one was. I only know one Red Zone.
not important.
Interesting that there's the Red Zone channel, not NFL Red Zone, the Red Zone channel on DirecTV, and only on DirecTV. That's why more people know about NFL Red Zone and Scott Hanson, I guess, because we're everywhere. We're on every platform except DirecTV. They were only on DirecTV. The Red Zone channel, it predates NFL Red Zone. Andrew Siciliano, a buddy of mine, a fellow Syracuse grad of mine, expertly hosted that show for years, and we don't think that they're coming back anymore because DirecTV has lost Sunday Ticket, the package. And if I'm getting too in the broadcasting weeds here, let me know. But they originally started a Red Zone style channel, and then NFL Red Zone developed it. And one of your bosses right here at Believe, as a matter of fact, Eric Weinberger, was the coordinating producer, executive producer at NFL Media, and he was one of the people that spearheaded NFL Red Zone getting formed. And then the president of the network signed off on it, whatnot, and then they were looking for a host. And as soon as I heard, I was already a roving reporter for NFL Network. They would send me out to whatever, Gillette Stadium in Foxborough to do the Patriots-Jets game. But I'd be the guy in the press box here covering the Jets-Patriots game live. I'd have my laptop open, and I'd be elbowing the reporter next to me
Yeah.
on my left and right, saying, hey, yeah, I know the Patriots and the Jets are playing right here, but hey, Tony Romo just hit Terrell Owens for his second touchdown of the first half. Hey, Adrian Peterson's almost got 100 yards at the half for the Vikings. Like looking at all these other games. So I always was fascinated and gravitated towards the 10,000-foot view of the NFL as opposed to one team or one conference or one whatever have you. And when I heard we were starting this channel that was going to show every touchdown from every game for 7 straight hours, no commercials, and we could basically write the way we want to do it. We could invent it and do it the way we wanted to. I said, I want to be the host of that thing.
Was it a battle to get that job?
Well, I actually threw my hat into the ring. Like I said, I was already working for NFL Media, so they knew me. They knew some of my skills. But I said, guys, this was meant for me, or I was meant for this. And I called him up. A guy by the name of Jamie Heeman was the talent coordinator at the time. I said, Jamie, is it true that we're starting this? This is in the deep summer of 2009, okay? And I said, is it true that we're starting this NFL Red Zone channel in the fall? He says, yeah. I said, who do you got to host it? He said, well, we're looking at a few people. I said, is my name on the list? He goes, yeah, your name is on the list. And so I don't know if you want
see that list right there.
Exactly. I said, okay, I want this. So what they did was an audition, right? Like any broadcasting job, a lot of times you do an audition. Now, a typical television audition is 10 minutes long. Like they'll pop you up on set. They want to see how you look on camera, how you sound on the microphone. Can you do crosstalk with one of the other co-hosts and stuff like that? Well, because Red Zone, part of the name of the game is stamina and ad-libbing for a long period of time, the audition for this was not 10 minutes. The audition was 5 hours long.
Whoa. Yo,
and here's what they did. It was like in June or July of 2009. They put me into a studio at NFL Network. There was no games going on, obviously, in June or July, so they took a random week from the season before, and they basically took 8 videotapes, if you will, of 8 different games, queued them all up to the kickoff, pressed play simultaneously, and said, talk.
And go.
What was your prep for that?
That's a great question, because my prep for Red Zone is insane, because it's, I don't know if I've got 12 games on an average weekend. I don't know which 2 or 3 are going to have the fantastic finish, but I do know 2 or 3 of them will have a fantastic finish. But it's obviously live and in real time, so I'm studying all of the injury reports, quotes out of the locker room, what the beat writers are saying in their my prep is very, very in tune, because we've got those games going on live on Sunday. For this audition, it was like week 5 of 2008. So I'm literally like, I don't got rosters
they
in front of me.
told you ahead of time which week it was going to be?
I believe, I don't remember that. I think they did, but it wasn't like it wasn't like you could go back in time and say, well, this guy said this in the locker room, about this team, and so that builds a storyline or whatever. It was more, you had to just player identification, do your transitions from game to game, make it as smooth and as slick as possible, and the old TV saying, never let them see you sweat. I sweated. I was wearing a suit, full suit. I flop sweated.
I mean, dude,
right
it's
through
5
the suit.
hours.
And it was 5 hours long, and I remember my head was spinning, and I remember thinking, well, at the end of it, I either just got this job or I ruined my career. Because everyone's going to go, that guy knows nothing. That guy, what is he doing?
I mean,
so,
who is the casting director who put that audition together is like a little crazy. They're a little off there.
You have to
5
know.
hours.
A little sadistic, frankly.
Yeah, that's it.
So get this.
It's like SEAL training.
Here's the way it wrapped up. So again, I was a roving reporter. So after I did my audition, training camps opened up, right, late July, and I was on the road. I believe I was in Texas. I think I was covering the Dallas Cowboys at the time, but I'm in a hotel room in between practices for the Cowboys in their training camp, and I get a phone call, and it was Eric Weinberger, the former executive at the NFL that I mentioned, and he goes, hey, Scott, just want to let you know that we want to name you the host of NFL Red Zone.
Wow.
And I go, wow. I go, that's awesome. And then I go like this. I go, so you watch the 5 hour audition, and he goes, Scott, I watched the first 10 minutes of it, and I knew you were my guy.
Your Eric is pretty good. By the way.
You guys all know it.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
And so so he says this, and of course it was a big compliment. So I'm on the phone. I said, "Oh wow, that's great." And in my mind, I'm thinking, then why in the did you have me do 5 hours and flop sweat through a suit and put myself in that type of so? But all's well that ends well. Yep, I was named the host, and we got on rocking and rolling in September of 2009, and more than 200 episodes later, it's changed the way people watch football.
If it makes you feel better, I'm sure someone watched all 5 hours.
Hey, someone had to at least seen you could do it. Go through like different parts.
Yeah,
Someone was very entertained.
hopefully.
And that was my favorite week of all time.
I hope that videotape exists somewhere.
That'd be awesome.
If they ever do a retrospective on Red Zone or
Yeah.
my career or whatever else, it would be awesome to find like the Scott Hanson audition tape from.
You got to dig it up
summer of
for next
2009.
season and throw it in there when you. I know there's very rarely do you have the lulls, but when there is, it's always great to see what content
There's a
y'all
couple
come up
times where it's like pre-witching hour, like third quarter. It's like some of the games aren't that close. You show all the scores. You could throw your old tape up there.
We did on the 200th episode, which was last season.
Yeah.
We did do a flashback to the very first on camera of NFL Red Zone, the very first time that we were ever on camera. And I remember thinking, I don't get nervous. When I'm prepared, I don't get nervous.
Yeah.
But I was nervous.
I was
on
about
that
to
first
ask you,
show.
yeah.
And the reason was maybe not because of what you think. It wasn't like I was nervous, like, is this going to work? Am I going to be any good? It wasn't that. I was nervous because of this. I thought, Scott, this is going to be a galactic success. I really believed it. I 100% believed it. And I said, and if you mess up this first on camera, 10 years from now, when they do the retrospective of, here was the very first, if you've ever seen the old videotape in 1979 when ESPN Sports Center went on the air for the first time, they still play that.
Wow.
I think it was George LeGrand was one of the hosts, and they go, welcome to the ESPN Sports Center, and they go on with their thing. But it's like, that's television history right there, right? So I remember I was nervous because I remember thinking, Scott, this is going to be a massive hit. This is going to be sports television history. So whatever you say right now, don't flub it. Don't mess up a word. Don't look like you're nervous, whatever else.
Yeah.
We got, and my first opening words were, welcome to NFL Red Zone. My name is Scott Hanson. Welcome to the first moments of the channel that we hope and we think will change the way you watch football forever.
But it's
to
like
me-
it's the perfect marriage, right? Like because
Yeah.
what you're talking about when you're covering these different teams, but what you care about is every player across the NFL that's performing at such a level of excellence that everyone's paying attention to it, and the culmination of what's happening in fantasy football at the same time.
I would argue it's as impactful to the sport as fantasy football. Like it's that Drive to Survive F1 to me, like these are the most pinnacle like changes in the way we view sports. Like there really isn't anything like that. And I wanted to ask you, like, can you see a world where baseball can do it, basketball can do it? Because we've been like kind of like going through our minds and jogging around, but really it is like the perfect sport and the perfect style to view it.
And I think what you just said right there at the end, the perfect sport to do it. First of all, baseball, basketball. I think hockey, to a degree, soccer has over in Europe tried to emulate NFL Red Zone. But here's the thing. NFL football has an advantage, and it's a few different advantages. One, it's everyone's fandom week builds to one day, to Sunday. Right now, everyone watches Thursday Night Football, and you're going to watch Sunday Night Football. You're going to watch the standalone on Monday Night Football.
They got me.
But Sunday, when the games kick off, if the Rams are your favorite team, fine, watch every snap of your Rams game. But if the Rams are your favorite team, I can almost guarantee your second favorite team is your fantasy football team. And you can't watch one game to see your fantasy football team. You can watch one channel to see your fantasy football game. So the NFL building towards Sunday each and every week, that's a huge advantage for NFL Red Zone. Another thing, all of the kickoffs are absolutely perfectly synchronized.
Right.
Crazy.
When we go to the Octobox, we literally have, let's say, eight games in an early window. We have 8 games kicking off within 15 seconds of each other.
Yeah.
Right? So the synchronization leads to a rhythm of the day, and then, of course, the witching hour with everybody hitting the fourth quarter relatively at the same time.
Right.
So that's huge. And then something else that's big about it? The 40-second play clock. The rhythm of an individual football game allows us, and our staff to get you to, San Francisco 3rd and 8, 10-yard pass, move the sticks. They're in the opponent's territory right now. But I know I got 40 seconds right now to get you to Atlanta, to get you to New England, to get you to Chicago, and sneak in another play or two.
It's way more
and then get back,
Yeah.
and you're not going to miss one snap of that Niners drive that we were just on.
No.
So the rhythms of that. So what are you going to do if you're in basketball or baseball or whatever else? Like,
Yeah,
there's a man on
basketball's
third, so we're going to cut to this game. Okay, you might be able to do that, but you might have 12 pitches before anything happens in that game. What are you going to do in basketball? A guy just entered the paint, so we're going to cut to that game live? You can't do that.
The last 2 minutes, it's way less predictive, though.
Yes, and then it is still the stagger of almost every other sport where the lulls are, where the lulls hit. It's hard to fill in the gaps with more good information and entertainment in the other ones. So I think football has the advantage, but it's so successful. Like, look at everything. We say the NFL is a copycat league. Well, sports broadcasting is a copycat industry, right?
Oh my
When
God.
someone sees something that works, everybody is looking for the next
Give
thing.
it a shot. I mean, I brought up Drive to Survive. Like, golf's about to do that too. Like, to try to save the PGA. Like, if they see something work, they're going to give it a go. Let's pitchy woo woo to the current season.
Nice segue.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the segue. You do it enough times, you kind of hit one every now and then.
Yeah, there you go.
What was the craziest play you saw this year in Red Zone?
Well, probably pitchy woo woo. Well, okay, either the Justin Jefferson catch.
Okay.
We were talking about that.
We did a top 5 plays of the year seen on NFL Red Zone, and we put it out to a fan vote. And the top 2 in the voting were Justin Jefferson one-handed grab to keep the
Against the
Vikings
Bills.
Fourth and
alive
29
against
or
the
something,
Bills,
right?
and what was still probably the game of the year.
Yeah.
To this point.
You
I
guys
still
think?
I don't think anything else
That was a great
topped
game.
that is
What's
for
your-
the game of the year, because again, both of them ended up being playoff teams. They're both knocked out of the playoffs at this point. But that was such a cataclysmic game. It
was a good game.
Big time players making plays, and then the insane fumble at the 1-yard line by the Viking or by the
Allen,
Bills,
yeah.
just trying to kneel the clock out. So there, and then the other one, of course, was Chandler Jones going the other way on pitchy woo woo in Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas for one of the craziest finishes, not only of the season, but really in NFL history. The Patriots botching that and not being able to just get it to overtime was
Cost of the year.
It was, you could argue that it did, yeah.
The Pats have been on the wrong side of that a couple times against the Dolphins.
Oh, my
Yes.
God.
Miami Miracle.
Yes.
Yes.
That was a
And
bad
it was,
one.
and it was a strategic miscue in
put,
both of those.
To put
Yeah.
Rob Gronkowski in.
Rob
right.
Gronkowski at safety, 100%.
And Kenyon Drake outruns him.
Yeah,
Yep.
because it's like it wasn't a Hail Mary formation. That was going to be pitchy woo woo in the
Right,
Dolphins
right.
game. And then, of course, the Patriots on offense, pitchy woo woo. And they did a pretty decent job. I think it was Ramondre Stevenson had the ball first, maybe. And he
Got like 30 yards upfield. Yeah.
You stab forward if you have to. Now, the thing was, the game was tied, keep in mind. So it was overtime.
He's having
If they just
PTSD
go out of
over
bounds,
here.
it's overtime.
I
You
know.
took your hat off.
Dude,
I
the
can
thing-
see that
here's
this
the
is
thing, like,
personal here.
I mean, I get, yeah. I mean,
You
I'm
know,
hearing
he's-
Oh,
it-
yeah. It's been
Pat's
so
fan.
rough.
He's a
I'm
Pats
hearing,
fan.
it,
Come on,
I'm
like-
hearing it from your perspective. We're in a group text of 3 of us. I'm watching the game on my phone because I'm mobile right now.
Yeah.
Nick's
No,
Alex,
he's ahead of
Alex
us.
is ahead of Nick and I, and he goes, "Oh my God." And then the next thing I see is Ramondre start to break it off. I go, "Oh my God, Ramondre's going to run into the end zone." And then lateral to Jacoby. And then I literally in slow motion watch Jacoby Myers wind up. And I know Mac is the only, first of all, Mac's
Yes.
the only person back there.
Yes. Or a lineman that just tripped over his own feet or something like
Yeah.
that. But it's no one athletic is back
Nobody.
that far.
Nobody. Ugh. It was
They did have a nice one too. They had the walk off against the Jets when it was 6-6.
That
the
was
punt return.
awesome.
That was fun.
True.
But are those your two personally? Because you watch everything.
Yep. Those were my why. You guys got some
No.
candidates?
I
No,
just-
we were
curious.
thinking about it, and
Yeah.
those were the 2 we listed.
That was
Yeah.
the
Well, believe it or not, hopefully my enthusiasm for the game comes across each and every Sunday.
Oh, to inform us of like what it could be.
Well, no, but just my excitement for the game of the NFL, the
Yeah,
sport.
it does.
But I don't have a favorite NFL team.
Do you have a fantasy team?
Honest
Never?
to goodness.
You're
Now, my
from-
favorite team is the Iron Bladders. My fantasy.
That's
football
the
team.
name of your team?
Oh yeah, I thought that's what you. referred to. Yeah, my fantasy football team, the Iron Bladders.
That is awesome.
But you're
Went to the championship this year. Just saying, highest scoring team in the league. Didn't take the
no
title.
favorite team. Like obviously you have your fantasy team, but
Yeah.
is there a couple of players that you're just like, I enjoy watching this guy every single Sunday?
I mean, the GOAT. I mean, Tom Brady, and it's for a few reasons. One, because of his just excellence.
Yep.
And I'll tell you a little side story. I grew up in the Detroit area. Okay.
Yeah.
And grew
So
up
definitely not a Lions fan.
I did grow up a Lions fan, but to be honest, I haven't lived there for years, and they're one of 32 teams to me now. And look, someday they might win something big, and I'll be thrilled because all my high school buddies will be going crazy for the Lions.
Man of the people.
But I grew up in the Detroit area, and I tell you that because I grew up a Detroit Pistons fan. And I'm old enough to go back to the Bad Boys Pistons era. Now, who ended the Bad Boys Pistons era? It was Michael Jordan. And growing up in Detroit, when Jordan proved after the Pistons' amazing back-to-back championship run that it was basically over, people in Detroit hated Michael Jordan. Yeah. And so I was like, this guy, he's just an athlete. He's not a great basketball player. And I robbed myself as a sports fan of enjoying Michael Jordan's excellence. Wow. He would go for 60 on a night, and I could have watched the game, and you know what? I was like, that guy. I was just like bitter, and I said, I'm never going to do that again. When his career was all said and done, it's not questioned, and for a lot of people, it's not even questioned anymore that Jordan is number one, and there is no argument. Now, some people might do the LeBron thing. I get it.
I'm with you. We argue about it all the time.
Okay, well, that's a separate issue. But everyone, when Jordan retired, he was number one, and there was no argument.
Yeah.
Okay, so I look back at that time, and I said, Scott, you robbed yourself of enjoying one of the greatest athletes in the history. I said, I'm never going to do that again. So I'm not a Patriots fan, but when Tom Brady clearly had exhibited his excellence after 2 or 3 Super Bowls and just in everything in Brady's career, I said, I'm not going to rob myself. I'm going to enjoy this guy's career because who knows how long it'll last. And he probably only has 5 or 10 more years to go. So, we got to enjoy it.
20.
I mean, he might outlive me here, dude.
But here,
in the NFL.
Okay. So
Iron Bladder, he's iron everything. Like,
right? And I don't drink or avocado tequila or eat avocado ice cream for dessert like he does to keep himself tuned. But last thing I'll say about Brady is this. I was at one of the Super Bowls that he played in. They all blend together at this point. I was at one of the Super Bowls that he played in, and one of my duties early in the week of the Super Bowl is I do a stage show with both teams on Monday when they fly in. It used to be called Media Day. Now it's Super Bowl opening night. Mm-hmm. So it's the Monday before the game. And they have me go on stage, and I bring out, ladies and gentlemen, the NFC champion so-and-so team captains. And I list off the team captains. And the AFC champion, New England Patriots team captains, Tom Brady, and then list the rest. So we bring them out, the Vince Lombardi trophies there. It's a made-for-TV moment, right? So we do this, and they're on stage. They shake hands real quick, like a sportsmanship moment. And it's the last time they're going to be in the same building before Super Bowl Sunday. So it's kind of a cool thing for TV. So I do this. And we throw a commercial break on the show that we were doing, and the stage lights go dim, and guys start walking off. All of a sudden, I get a tap on my shoulder. And I turn around, and it's Brady. And he's a tall dude, so I looked up, and I'm like, hey, Tom. He's like, hey, Scott. He's like, and him and I had known each other a little bit, but we weren't buddies.
I mean, you've announced them every year pretty much.
I visit my careers. Coincided. So he goes, I just want to say you do a great job on NFL Red Zone. And I'm like, and I don't get starstruck, okay? I've dealt with not only every NFL player that there's been, I've dealt with most of the biggest athletes in our society. But I was like, wow, that's pretty freaking cool. The GOAT.
Wait,
just
retire right there?
Yeah.
Well, now I've, y'all tape and rerun the show throughout the week after.
I see where you're going with this. I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, Tom, thanks. I appreciate it. You're good at your job too, Tom. I'm thinking, when does he have a chance to
right?
And it's when he's playing on Monday night, he watches Red Zone on Sunday.
Okay.
When he's playing on Thursday night, when he's on the bye week,
sure.
Or when he's suspended by the league for deflating footballs for 4 games of a season.
Yeah.
He watches. Yeah. No, I joke, but
or he's when he's hurt.
He posts on his Instagram. He'll post even this season. He posted when they had the bye week, or maybe they had played on Thursday. He's sitting at his house,
hanging out with you,
with his dog by his lap, watching NFL Red Zone. And I was like, that's pretty freaking cool.
It's got to be a strategy, though, because you know what he sees? he sees like a lot of red zone defenses.
I'm sure
right?
he gleans stuff.
I don't know.
from it.
Like he's
but
like
I think he's a. I
He
think
just
he's
loves
a
football, right?
Yeah. I'm sure he's a junkie.
I mean, he's
like,
played till he's 45. Like
yeah, I'm sure he
loves it. He loves it.
He loves it. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's
Yeah.
denying that now. Well,
And just found out Josh Allen too. This year, Josh Allen was doing an interview somewhere, and someone sends me the link when someone mentions it. But that Josh Allen says he's the same way. When he's not playing on Sunday, he's watching NFL.
That tracks.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
it definitely tracks.
He's a total junkie.
Right. What your buddies back home, the Detroit guys?
Yeah.
Do they give you grief when like the Lions don't get enough run? Like when
they got a lot
when
of
they're
run
playing?
this year, right?
They
This
scored a
year-
lot. They scored a
Dude,
lot.
They were one of the
Yeah.
top offenses in the league for most of the season.
That was his call
And
before the year started there.
Somehow.
Here's the funny thing: the Lions were probably I don't stopwatch it or anything, but the Lions were probably on red zone maybe more than most teams for two reasons. One, their offense really was clicking
And
this
their
year,
defense.
and two, their defense is on NFL red zone a whole lot because they were hot. You know what?
They were
What was it
hot
that
first
like
half.
week 3 when they played the Seahawks and they put up it was like 52
40
something,
something.
something
Yeah.
or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, that game was all over.
Yeah,
They lost.
and yeah.
They both made adjustments in the season, but
Yeah.
talking about some of these quarterbacks though, there's going to be a lot of shifting going around the NFL with some big name quarterbacks. Predictions on where these guys land:
Oof.
Aaron Rodgers,
Oof.
Derek Carr, who else we got? Brady, Lamar.
And if you want to extrapolate into the future, we've got probably 3 that are going to go in the top 10 in the
Yeah,
draft.
Please give
Right.
me that.
as well.
Levis,
that.
Stroud, and Bryce Young.
I mean, goodness. Okay, I think the biggest variable is Derek Carr.
Okay.
I think Derek Carr can be a Super Bowl quarterback. I don't think he's necessarily going to be Rodgers or Mahomes or Brady in his prime, that he's the reason that you go to the Super Bowl.
Maybe Flacco.
But he absolutely, I think he can be even better than what Flacco did in Flacco's run, which was Flacco's run to get to his Super Bowl was amazing.
He's a good playoff quarterback,
I think
Flacco.
Derek Carr is or can be a top 10 quarterback. So you take a look at a team like Washington,
Okay.
take a look at a team like Indianapolis.
Yep.
I think he could be in play, but I think he is, depending on what style of offense you want to run, I think he is the first linchpin in free agency.
Yeah, the
when
domino
wherever
effect.
he goes, then a lot of dominoes will fall after that.
Okay.
And then I think your teams like your Houston Texans and those type of teams that are in
Draft.
complete rebuild, they're going to look at Bryce Young. They're going to look at C.J. Stroud.
The Indianapolis
They're gonna
thing
look
is
at
interesting to
Will
go
Levis.
get a vet to then draft a guy to sit basically for a
they
year.
You can't
Could,
draft.
yep.
You can't do.
Yep.
You can't double dip like that.
Why not?
No?
No, because if you take Derek Carr, you got to go for a
No,
playmaker.
no, not Derek Carr. But if they took a vet like Brady or Rodgers that plays for 2 more years,
Yeah.
and they let a guy groom underneath them,
I think Rodgers is staying in Green Bay. I
Okay.
think it's retirement or he stays in Green Bay, and he's got $59 million or something
Yeah.
like that. He's gonna. I gotta think he stays in Green
What
Bay.
did we?
Brady?
what about Brady? Yeah.
I think Brady leaves the Buccaneers, and I don't know. As we speak here today, you probably all saw the soundbite from Tom Brady on his own podcast where he was like, "If I knew what I was gonna bleep and do, I would have already bleep and done it by now." Which was a real bizarre answer on his own podcast. He was acting like you ambushed me with that question. I didn't know anyone was going to ask me about my future. Duh.
The great thing about
But
podcasts that you host is you get to say when
And you can
where
also-
you want to
you can also
record.
edit
Jim
it out,
Gray, who's
too.
a friend of mine, and Jim Gray's a good buddy of Tom Brady's, and they do it every week. It's like a thing. It's like he really didn't think he was. I was like that was bizarre, but whatever. He's Tom. He can do whatever he wants. He has earned as much runway as he wants to make his decision. But I think he leaves there. I think he might. There's
Replace?
a chance. I think he could go to Vegas. I think he could go to Vegas.
That'd be insane.
Why? But they're not going to be better than the Chargers and the Chiefs, right?
I have also a little side theory about Tom Brady, and I told my brother lives in Boston and has become a big Patriots fan over the years, and so was a huge Brady fan through all the great times. I said when Brady left and he came down to Tampa Bay, which was, if you remember, we all look back at it now and we're like, okay,
Bizarre.
he made the playoffs 3 years, they won the Super Bowl, it was mission accomplished, right?
Right.
And going. When he went there, it was like he chose the Bucs, and there were some rumors that it was like he only had like 2 options. and he didn't want to go. I think
Chargers.
the Chargers were the other one. He didn't. So he ended up with the Bucs. Now it was like, I think I can win a Super Bowl here. Of course, they do go and win the Super Bowl. But I said, Brian, you watch. And I used to live in Tampa myself. My TV career has taken me all over living-wise. I'm like, Tampa is an amazing place to live. And I'm telling you, a guy who's played his entire career in Foxborough, when by December
paradise.
through the Super
No income tax?
You literally no income tax, sunshine. Oh, we want to take the wave runners out, in the backyard. There's the Gulf of Mexico right there. And sure enough, I think he fell in love with that area. Now, it doesn't mean that he's going to stay there, but I think he is excluding any. I would think he would exclude any cold weather options.
Oh my God, you can't go back
You
to
know,
that.
I mean, he could, but because even as great as he is, what does he really have? Another season, 2 seasons, maybe?
Well,
I mean, come on, it's going to fall off at some point.
I think that it's got to be a team that is already ready to win right now. And I was throwing this out there that potentially, let's see how far the Niners go. But Brock was Mr. Irrelevant, right? He wasn't supposed to be the starter. What happens if Brady goes, I want to retire in where I grew up, where I started playing football, the team that I grew up watching in the Niners, play for 1 season, let Brock learn from me, and then go.
But what if he wins?
Yeah. I mean,
What if
If
Brock
wins? I don't know. I mean, it's Brady. You going to turn him down?
Scott, what do you do? If Brock wins, and Tom wants to go play there.
look at the NFL is, not for long, and it would not shock me if they made a run. If they got to the Super Bowl, which they're 1 win away, and Purdy has played extremely clean.
Hasn't lost a game.
He hasn't lost, of course,
Right.
but I'm saying his play itself. We have not had that moment of, there's why he was the last pick in the draft.
Right.
There's why he's had a couple of questionable throws that actually should have been picked off that weren't. The defenders dropped, but he's still gotten away with it.
Trayvon Diggs.
And
come on, I'm a Cowboys guy, so that was rough for me.
You have that burned in your frontal lobe, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But so I think if Purdy gets to the Super Bowl, I think we got a Tom Brady situation on our hands, or a Kurt Warner situation on our hands. He's the franchise quarterback. And now, doesn't mean that you couldn't, if there's one person in the world that you could bring in and say, Brock, you might have to just go back to being a backup. But then, of course, they've got all kinds of issues. Jimmy Garoppolo's not as much of an issue because I think you can move on from his contract. But what do you do with Trey Lance? You used all that draft capital to go and get him. And do we even know what Trey Lance is? I don't. It would really muddle the situation. But
the minute you win a Super Bowl, though, you're having the Derek Carr is maybe a guy you can win with, not win because, but win with, right? And a lot of people would probably put Dak in that category, maybe Kirk Cousins, like that. Those guys are peers. I feel like in that power ranking of QBs.
Yep.
But if Brock wins, he won.
Yeah.
And he's
what
going
is it
into
about?
year 2.
What did you draft Trey Lance for?
Right.
To win a Super Bowl.
What did you give up
And if Brock
multiple
Purdy does it,
first-round
it's
picks?
like, God bless. You
If he
did it.
If he does it one time, why couldn't he do it again?
It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You give up a lot to get Trey Lance. You give up a lot of picks to get Trey Lance. It's not like they just took him.
It's one of those deals. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like going to a nice steakhouse and getting full on bread,
Yeah.
You paid all this money for the steak, but you ate all the bread and you're full. You got the job done.
That's a really good comp, dude.
And if you get full on bread at a steakhouse, you don't necessarily have to buy the $150 porterhouse.
Exactly.
And you talk about Brock Purdy. You know what Brock Purdy makes this year?
What?
Less than $1 million, right?
900,000 something and change. Yeah. So
7th round money, baby.
Yeah, exactly. 7th round money.
Yeah,
and,
no negotiation for
and
Super
he's on
Bowl
that-
incentives.
He might have made more money in NIL. With Iowa State.
Yeah, and he'll make more in endorsements too.
Yeah.
The kid is something. It's one of the great stories of this year. If he can get one more win, no rookie. People think, oh yeah, there's been a rookie no rookie has started in the Super Bowl.
No rookie has looked more like a rookie.
Just
like
he looks
phys-
like
just the way he
looks like a rookie.
Oh yeah, visage wise,
He looks like he's 14.
Maybe
he looks
in the
young.
newspaper in a suburb in Ohio somewhere. Yeah.
Well, what do you make of these teams? I mean, what are your predictions here for this weekend?
I'm not a gambling man, but I understand that the lines, or at least the odds for these
Bengals are favored.
games are so the Bengals are favored going into Arrowhead.
Yep.
Now a lot of that is due to people just assuming what they think Mahomes' ankle will or won't be, but you can make a strong argument for all 4 of these teams.
Sure.
At the beginning of the postseason, I said Chiefs. Niners, beginning of the postseason, Chiefs, Niners. And I did that for two reasons. One, because defense still wins.
Yep.
And San Francisco is salty. Now, Eagles defense is amazing, and the Bengals defense is a lot better than what
Too
people give
shabby.
credit to. Chiefs defense is middle of the road. But I said defense wins championships. The Niners have the best defense in the NFL, and Purdy is clean this far. I said, give me the Niners. And then I said Chiefs, but I did that solely on Mahomes will find a way.
Right.
Mahomes will find a way. So I guess I'll stick with that right now. I think now if you told me, gun to my head, what do I think will happen now? You could make an argument that it's the other way around. Philadelphia looked like an absolute buzzsaw last week, and Hurts. I understand the shoulder's still dinged, but it didn't look like it was a problem at all.
Didn't matter.
And AJ Brown didn't really do anything last week, and they were incredible.
Right.
So Philadelphia, and it's at Philly, of course, and then Joe Burrow. You want to go bet against Joe Burrow?
No,
go
not
ahead.
doing it.
I mean,
Go ahead.
Was it you that
Like,
said?
I said it earlier this week. I'm never ever going to bet against that guy.
Yeah. So
At least if I'm betting money, I'm certainly never betting against.
I'll say Chiefs Niners, but it would not shock me at all if it's the exact opposite.
Way to save yourself.
Yeah, I know how bad it is.
Way to save yourself.
Yes.
A couple for you. A couple quick hitters. Team you were most impressed with and team you were least impressed with this year.
For the whole season.
Yeah.
I thought the Detroit Lions were one of the
Great
shocking
pick.
teams, and I think the Lions are absolutely set up for success next year. Remember, they get an extra first-round pick because of the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff deal, and that one's in the top 10 because of the way the Rams, soiled themselves this year.
The opposite of Iron Bladders.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think the Lions were awesome. Nobody wanted to see the Lions would have if Week 18 would have clicked for them the right way. Obviously, they ended up winning at Lambeau Field. But if Seattle would have lost, Lions would have been in.
Right.
Nobody wanted to see the Lions in the first round.
was
Nobody
great.
wanted to see the Lions in the first round.
wanted
So the
them.
Lions were one of the surprise teams. To me, and then of course the Jags too were one of the great surprise teams. They were picking number one in the draft for 2 straight years, and then a new head coach unlocks Trevor Lawrence, and they've got some defensive. You think he's fully there? I still think there's.
he
I
threw
still
4
think
picks
I
in the
need
first
to
quarter.
see a
Then
lot
he
more
came
growth. I'm not
back
saying
and
he's not a
dominated.
great player. I think
Yeah, but when you're in that division next year and you get to play the Texans twice, and you get to play the Colts twice.
there it is.
Build a lot of confidence next year.
The Titans twice, dude. The Titans stunk.
And the Titans have got some decisions to make. Titans could be in that quarterback sweepstakes,
Absolutely.
as well.
Definitely.
And the team that I was most let down in,
Yeah.
those Los Angeles Rams, the worst record in the history of being a Super Bowl champion. And there were
Injuries,
there
of
were
course.
multiple reasons for it. Injuries being at the top of the list, but still, even before
was a bad
before
hangover.
Stafford and Donald went down, they did not look like the reigning world champions.
that was
a record's a
really bad
record. People
hangover.
talk about those records.
Yeah. I mean, that there's where it is. But yeah.
All right, you're a man of faith.
Yes.
What was your oh my God, this makes me believe moment in sports?
Well, as a man of faith, I don't need sports
You don't need
outcomes.
it, of course. But
I
hypothetically,
don't need
like,
sports outcomes to say, Lord, you exist. But what was it?
Anything, ever.
Oh, man, I was not prepared for this question.
There's more of these coming.
Okay. What was the one that just made me go, oh, wow. Can I give you, it wasn't a play or even a game. It was a moment. It was the way that the NFL community, the sports community, and the country, and even the world to a degree, came together when we saw a life and death crisis on the field with Damar Hamlin.
Yeah.
And when everybody went to, I'm praying for you and whatnot. And of course, people put that on social media. I hope everybody means it when they say that. But I think the way people came together I was like, Lord, I think you're doing something with this and through this. A disastrous, potentially deadly circumstance being turned into something that's been positive and good. And
brought a lot of
galvanizing
people together.
I thought that was pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I told them, I was like, it's a shame that it's something that was potentially tragic that brought people together, and that more things that aren't positive also bring people together. But
True, yeah. I'll tell you how positive the Damar Hamlin thing was. I saw more thoughts and prayers tweets without the replies of your thoughts and prayers mean nothing.
Yeah.
You see something in society, God forbid, like a mass shooting or something, and someone says thoughts and prayers, and people reply, their thoughts and prayers don't mean anything. We need legislation for this, or we need, and they bark at each other, even over a tragedy. I'm like, that's the wasteland of social media for you. But with Damar Hamlin, I didn't see anyone pushing back at like, no, thoughts and prayers, let's lift this guy up. Let's lift up these doctors and nurses in prayer and say, Lord, just somehow, if you can, help him get through in something that we have never seen before on an NFL field in the modern history of the NFL, that was really, really remarkable and positive. Yeah.
They're the positive.
And it wouldn't surprise me if we see him on an NFL field again.
Oh, he's going to find a way to play. He's going to find a way to
Christian
play.
Eriksen, the Denmark forward, he collapsed and he played again. They're like, he'll never play again.
He played in the most recent World Cup.
I mean, with modern medicine, like the marvels you can do, like the fact that Adrian Peterson, like obviously it's not as hard, but could tear his ACL and then run for 2,000 yards next year. It's unheard of what these people can do. All right, last two, man. What is left for you in broadcasting? You obviously have the Red Zone. It's your thing.
You're gonna Trebek this thing and just do it your entire career.
You are a natural.
That's a good analogy.
That is a good.
By the way, because Alex Trebek in Jeopardy, it wasn't the Alex Trebek show, but his skill set married so perfectly with the requirements of the job that it became synonymous. If you knew or watched Jeopardy, you knew Alex Trebek, right? And he made a career out of it. Yeah. And he apparently he loved doing it till his last days. And
goat. He's a goat.
He is. He's unbelievable. I love doing Red Zone as long as the NFL treats me right. I'm gonna do good by the NFL. And now that I've been on the Believe podcast here with you guys,
hey man, you can come anytime.
I mean, the check boxes are getting filled up.
Yeah.
Everyone asks me, do you want to go Anchor Sports Center or something like that? No, you know what? I love my gig, because I'll tell you what, if I wasn't hosting NFL Red Zone, I'd be watching it.
Yeah.
So it's like, put me in that captain's
we're hanging
chair.
out with you every weekend.
And I appreciate it, boys.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre not hearing you. Like, I know we're on a couch, but not like hearing you like on a couch.
On your couch.
Hungover. Yeah. Like being sober.
I got wings in front of me.
I will be in a deli ordering, I'll take a turkey on wheat, no onion, no tomato, and then like guy next to me will go like this, or whatever. I had a guy in a parking lot at a grocery store.
It's the voice too.
Saw me. Yeah, I think it's because my voice. This is my talking voice.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you walked in. I was like, oh my god.
Oh really? Yeah. Well, I inherited it from my dad. Now it's professionally trained too, but my dad had a big booming voice and a strong, authoritative voice, and I guess I've inherited that, and I'm thankful. And of course, it's the voice that you hear saying, touchdown Raiders, touchdown Patriots, touchdown Chiefs. So it's got that Pavlovian response of, positive reinforcement. But I had a guy in a parking lot in a grocery store. I was pulling like the bags out of my trunk, or I had to go in the grocery store to do some shopping. He's like 2 or 3 parking spots over. And he goes, give it to me. Give it to me. And I'm like, and I could tell his voice was coming in my direction. And I look over, and then he's like got a smile on his face, and I'm like, and he looked like he was a football fan, like a pitcher. And I'm like, I just looked at him. I go, 7 hours of commercial-free football start now. And he goes, yes. And he got into his car.
You made that guy's week.
And I was like, wow, this has been the touchstone of my career to the sports fan of America and really the world. We're an international show. I hear from people in multiple continents that say NFL Red Zone is the way that they consume pro football. Wow. And that's very gratifying.
Yeah. It's like, if I may give one more analogy, it's like, why would Coach K leave? He's the king of his own castle to go to the NBA. Like, you're the king of your own castle at Red Zone. There's no point in like jumping ship.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what I would say.
If you love it and you believe in your job and you believe what you're doing, fulfills you and makes an impact for the people that you're serving, in my case, the audience, don't mess up a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Coach K did coach the dream team, though, so we'll figure out. We'll figure out what your dream team.
If they can give me a moonlighting job, the equivalent of coaching the dream team,
Jim Boeheim,
sign me up.
I'll give you Boeheim then.
Yeah, how do you mean?
Like, he never went to the NBA. Just
Boeheim. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like, just like
and the Cuse connection too.
I mean,
you gotta love it.
Yeah.
Last one. We ask everybody this: you playing, you watching, you anything. Your favorite sports memory ever?
Okay, I had one day that was my favorite sports day ever.
Okay.
I grew up in suburban Detroit, as I told you, and my 8th grade football team I went to school at a small Catholic school that didn't have its own football team, so I got like a special petition signed that I could go play at a different Catholic school that had a football team. Like, my parents were awesome; they let me do that, and we won our 8th grade tackle football championship. Guardian Angels against La Salette, I remember it, and the winner of that game got to go play in the Silver Dome. Got to go play an exhibition in the Silver Dome as an 8th grader, which is, for those who don't know, that was the old Lions Stadium. You know, it was one of the classic. I mean, it wasn't really a great stadium, but it was, for a kid, it was Mecca, right? So we won, and then that night, it was in October. I don't remember the exact date, but it was 1984. The Detroit Tigers won the World Series.
Beat the Padres.
Beat the Padres. Kurt Gibson,
upper deck. Fan.
Oh, you are okay. Yeah. That Tigers team was, no one was getting over that. No. So, and I went to the game. My dad scored a couple of tickets, so I won in the day. It must have been a Saturday. During the day we won our 8th grade championship in football. And then I went to the Detroit Tigers clinching World Series game at Old Tiger Stadium, and that was the greatest day of my sports
I'm
life.
a Padres fan. We don't have a World Series, but it's okay because you got that moment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
That's an amazing sports day.
That's tough to beat.
Yeah.
And I've done some things, fellas.
Yeah.
I've been to 15 Super Bowls or something like that. I've been on the sidelines for most of those Super Bowls. I have done some incredible things. That, from my childhood, is the memory that.
So not a Lions fan, but a Tigers fan still, yes?
You know what? The Detroit teams. Yeah, the Detroit teams. My stepmom is a massive sports fan on a number of levels for all the Detroit teams. So I'm happy when they win, but it's not like I'm, waving a banner or anything like that. I love drama in all my sports.
Okay.
I can get into a Tiddlywinks competition if you can tell me the backstory of this player and this player and why this moment is something that's huge or dramatic.
You love it. You
love it. Love the juice.
Awesome, Scott. Thank you so much for joining
guys,
us.
you
The
guys are
Believe
great.
Network, the Charity Stripe fans out there, drag both feet inbound, swing on a full count, rip that puck, hit that putt, hit your PKs because they're free, and hit your free throws. Why, guys?
Because they're free.
Because they're free. We out, you. We love you. Thank
Appreciate
you, Scott.
you, fellas.